As the field manager for Coral in Belize, I like to share some sights and sounds from San Pedro. We have a busy and exciting week as we launch a program we call Mangrove Habitat Creation and Reforestation. Now, although mangrove restoration efforts have been implemented in Belize for many years now using conventional methods, there are some extreme conditions that makes it difficult for mangrove to undergo natural regeneration. So what we have done, we have invited Bob Riley from mangrove.org to come to San Pedro and share his methodology with our local leaders through a very interactive course and actual on-site application.
In Belize, the problem of mangrove deforestation has been increasing over the years. We've seen a lot of this been caused due to the great drive for the coastal development. We've seen a lot of clearance of coastal vegetation, including mangroves and littoral forests, and we've seen a lot of reclamation of the coastal areas, to make more land so that people can have great aesthetic view of the sea, or to can live along the coastal areas.
The encasement device is specifically designed for the mangrove. The pigmentation, as well as the size that we've got, is designed in order to facilitate the adaptation process using the Riley encase methodology. Each one of the encasements is designed with a longitudinal split, so as the cross-sectional area of the tree begins to expand and the tree matures, it opens, allowing the tree to adapt itself to the existing environment. The tubes actually have an inner groove in them, which eventually allows the encasement to split completely open. It also allows us to remove the encasement at the end of the adaptation process, so that once the planting is completed, the adaptation process is completed, we essentially remove all the PVC from the environment, and we only have a mature tree, a reproductively mature tree. If you look at the lot now, this used to be mangroves along here one time. When the house here was developed, the developer essentially just removed the mangroves. So the concept is here, although there's a revetment here, with this methodology, we're actually able to come back in and reforest or restore the shoreline with mangroves. The big benefit here is, as you can see from the background, we have a lot of debris and so on that the homeowner is now dumping in to the water to try to stabilize the revetment. The mangroves will begin to grow, they will reach their roots into the revetment and actually stabilize it. They will provide a buffer, that is, they will dissipate wave energy from storms, nor'easters that commonly occur here. As well as, if you look at the appearance here, you've got $1 million home, and this is your beachfront, all filled with rubble and trash. It's going to be much more aesthetically pleasing in the next 3 to 5 years as the mangroves begin to develop and green up the whole shoreline and essentially hide this revetment. But they are protecting your revetment, and they will now create habitat. Since the coral reef is briefly offshore here, the fish can come in, the small fish can come in, hide in the mangroves. As they develop and mature, then they move back out to the coral reefs. So by putting the mangroves in here, we're not only protecting the shoreline, protecting the property owner here, but we're also protecting the coral reef.
Alright, what we're doing here is we're establishing the mean water mark. This is basically it right here. Alright, what we're doing now is we need to remove the water. Oh no. Remove the water. Perfect.
Put sediment all the way up to the high tide mark. inspect the property, make sure not have no borers, no, in a dead, kind of firm, in a softened squishy.
Many rivers flowing out into the open ocean. The mangroves do a very excellent job filtering those waters. Up here we have the Corozal Bay. We have two major rivers flowing out into the bay. We did a study, I think in 2000, somewhere around about with risks. We found out that there's, especially during the rainy season, there's a lot of water coming into the bay with nutrients. That water flows out from the bay into the area around Kichapo, Kikaper, and it goes out into the reef eventually. So these mangroves around here, around Cangrejo, and other than the coast here in Belize, play a very important role in filtering that water.
Okay, this particular application that we're doing here is an area that's actually got a seawall built, and they're actually trying to reclaim land in this area. This was once all along the shoreline here was mangroves, but they've been all taken out. The important thing here we're trying to do is actually get some mangroves back into the system, and by being able to adjust the elevations and change the morphology of the tree through the REM adaptation process, you can actually put mangroves in here in an area where they can't naturally regenerate, but they can actually change the morphology so they can survive long term as well as reach reproductive maturity. Once we do that, the whole area will fill in, sedimentation will take place, and the trees then will be established for the long term. One of the other ideas we have, there are geotubes just on the other side here that we want to eventually vegetate. We want to take the mangroves into the geotube area to try to essentially vegetate the entire geotube line there along the frontage, dissipate wave energy, and essentially allow the geotubes to do a more effective job of preserving shoreline and maintaining.
I believe that this project is very beneficial to the community, not only for the developers but the locals that live here, because this essentially holds the land together. This prevents erosion. The actual roots create habitat and shelter for many different types of fish and other creatures. So, the implementation of the Riley encasement method gives the mangrove population or repopulation a greater chance of survival, and having the community and the developers knowing what is the benefit of this would be beneficial, like I said, to the entire community.
This week we planted close to 100 mangrove trees at 3 different sites, and we do know that 100 trees will not have an immediate effect on the current status of our coral reefs. It's going to take a couple of years for these propagules to grow into true reproductive trees, but we are confident that these sites will serve as a model so that we can show tourism developers there is no need to take out the mangroves. We need development. There is absolutely no doubt about that, but it has to be done in a responsible manner. We can integrate the mangroves as part of development, and we can even build around the mangroves. Unfortunately, when it comes to development in Belize, the norm has been mangroves must be cleared, wetlands must be dredged, and we then place seawalls and revetments to protect our coast. This is the mentality we want to change, because seawalls only offer temporary protection from storms and erosion. They are also expensive structures, and eventually they become unappealing. And you can see areas where mangroves are left intact. They would improve the aesthetic value of that coastline, they would serve as a haven for juvenile marine life, and their protection against storms is much more robust. These are ecological services that you only get with mangroves.
We did this project with you and the guys from Holchan, and I think this is a good start too for the future. Like for example, when we did this, I had a confrontation with my mom. My mom told me, why are you planting mangroves right here, right, in our beach? This what we're doing is good because we're going to educate the older generation, because they're the ones I think that missed out on educating the younger children, because it seems like now half of the Belizean do not respect the mangrove neither. My father understands it very well too, so my father is with me. He knows that we can trim these mangroves, and it's the root that is going to do the work, the filtration of the human waste. So it's important this mangrove to come back, because in the future, if we put the mangrove restoration, eventually if we put them in front of the seawall, trim them low, so it does mess up the view for some people, we can get back our barrier reef. You know that our barrier reef is seriously in danger right now.
Through the education program that we have at Holchan, we have done several stuff with the kids. One of the things that we're doing right now, we're having an environmental club. And some of the stuff that we're doing through there is the reef check activities, where we go out and monitor the reef, the condition of the reef, and we do surveys on fish and corals as well. Another thing that we want to do is the mangrove restoration project, which is a good project for the kids to learn about the importance of mangroves, that they're not just habitat for mosquito, but they are very important to our ecosystem and how it links to the seagrass and the coral reef, how all of them play a big role. So what we want to do, we've just taken this training, and one of the things we want to do is to train these kids how to replant back mangroves so that we could have a better reef in the future.
A number of organizations, including the World Wildlife Fund, Coral, the Coral Reef Alliance, and a number of other entities such as Holchan Marine Reserve, have realized the need for us to try and do some advocacy to try and promote mangrove conservation and mangrove restoration where possible. Ideally, that's what this workshop is all about, trying to work with people within some of the key conservation entities and stakeholders within San Pedro and Kikaka and other parts of Belize, to see how best we can not only train these people but encourage them to try and start to do proactive initiatives in terms of planting mangroves, but also trying to educate other people in terms of the need to plant mangroves.
I truly believe that the mangroves should be the national tree. I will give you one of my main reasons. It's the beginning of life in San Pedro. It's the essence of these keys, because San Pedro is not an island, it's a key. Keys are created by mangroves. It's the beginning. The trees grows in the silt, in the flats, and then over thousands of years, the sediment starts to pile up in the roots, and the mangrove starts to spread open, spread wide. And then when you see thousands of years, the coral, the sun dies, and the storms push it in top, and so it begins a key.
Key indicators of our sustainable destination model are threat reduction, community benefit sharing, and building conservation alliances. And it is amazing to see such a collaborative effort between the protected area and our community. Our community understands the important role that mangroves and seagrass play in the health of our coral reefs. Coral reefs are a part of our culture, they're part of our traditions, and they're a very important part of our livelihood, so we want them to be around for many years to come.